Have you ever wondered why, despite years of dedication to your family, career, and community, you still feel overlooked? Do you find yourself constantly trying to please others, especially as you age? The key to happiness in your later years might actually lie in releasing these expectations and embracing your authentic self. In this journey, we'll explore the emotional challenges that come with aging, feelings of being unappreciated or undervalued by those closest to you. But here's the revelation. Recognition doesn't need to come from external sources. You can find fulfillment by celebrating your own life and contributions. We'll also examine how the need to please others drains your energy and why, as you age, it's time to stop seeking everyone's approval. You'll discover how to prioritize your happiness, establish healthy boundaries, and live authentically in your later years. By the end, you'll have the tools to transform your mindset, reclaim your peace, and develop deeper, more genuine relationships with those who truly matter. Plus, you'll understand why releasing the habit of people-pleasing can bring more freedom and joy than you ever thought possible. Navigating envy and jealousy. Envy and jealousy often arise from something deeply personal: the insecurities or unfulfilled dreams of those around you. It's easy to internalize their resentment, especially when it comes from people you care about. Yet this resentment rarely reflects on you. Rather, it speaks to the struggles others are silently facing. Your stability, whether financial, emotional, or relational, can illuminate areas where others feel unsettled or unfulfilled. Your financial security, built through years of hard work and discipline, might serve as a painful reminder of someone else's perceived shortcomings. Similarly, your lasting marriage or loving family bonds might stir regret in those who've experienced heartbreak or broken relationships. The quiet confidence you've developed after overcoming life's challenges can unintentionally highlight the vulnerability others still battle. Though their envy stings, especially when it comes from those who should support you most, your wisdom can guide you through this. Understanding that their envy mirrors their internal struggles rather than your worth allows you to navigate these complex emotions with grace. You've learned that you're not responsible for easing others' discomfort or apologizing for the life you've worked hard to create. You can't control how others feel, nor should you dim your light to make someone else comfortable. That would dishonor your journey and the strength you've cultivated. Instead, respond with compassion and firmness. Acknowledge their feelings without internalizing them or allowing them to erode your sense of self. Never tolerate disrespect. You've earned the right to stand in your truth and celebrate your life without guilt. Your accomplishments testify to your resilience, perseverance, and character. They deserve acknowledgement, not hidden, minimized, or apologized for because they make someone uncomfortable. Let them see your light, even if it's too bright for them. Your life, wisdom, and achievements are beautiful, quietly yet powerfully testifying to your strength and grace. Ultimately, navigating envy lies in nurturing relationships that truly matter. Seek those who celebrate your success as possibilities for their own lives, who see your victories not as competition but as inspiration. Surround yourself with people who admire your journey and support you because of your accomplishments, not despite them. When you make space for these meaningful connections, the sting of envy fades. You learn to protect your peace, honor your story's dignity, and live authentically and unapologetically. Your life becomes an example of resilience, grace, and quiet strength, something worthy of celebration, regardless of others' perceptions. Overcoming misunderstandings in communication. As we age, one of the most painful challenges can be the gradual erosion of meaningful communication, particularly with younger generations. It's easy to forget how significant generational differences can be in how we express ourselves and how others interpret our words. Those of us who have lived through decades of change grew up in a world that valued directness, clarity, and straightforward conversation. We learned that honesty was the best policy, and that telling people what you think, however blunt, often showed you cared. But in today's world, that same directness can seem harsh or even cruel to younger ears. It's heartbreaking when you offer advice with the best intentions, because you've lived through so much, because you want to protect and guide. But your words land in ways you never intended. What you meant as a simple expression of concern can be misinterpreted as criticism, judgment, or being out of touch. You sense it in their reactions, The stiffening posture, the narrowing eyes, as though your words have somehow wounded them. You're left wondering how something so well-meaning could create such distance. The truth is, these misunderstandings rarely stem from malice. They arise from differences in communication styles, language, tone, and cultural context. A quick, frustrated remark made out of concern can be misread as judgment rather than genuine care. It's like a small crack that deepens over time, building walls you didn't realize were forming. Soon, conversations that once flowed easily become awkward or strained. Younger generations may pull away, perhaps assuming you won't understand their perspective or are unwilling to try. This growing distance leaves you feeling invisible, misunderstood, or rejected. But these misunderstandings don't have to define relationships. They can become doorways to deeper understanding with the right mindset. The key is empathy, making an intentional shift to truly listen rather than respond. When a conversation begins to veer off course, ask questions instead of rushing to offer advice. A simple, "Tell me more about how you see it," can open conversation in a non-threatening way, showing genuine interest in their perspective. If your words are misinterpreted, gently clarify, taking responsibility for how your message was received. "That's not quite what I meant. Let me explain," can smooth over a tense moment. Meanwhile, don't hesitate to express feeling overlooked or misunderstood, as long as it's done respectfully and with a desire for understanding, not defensiveness. Conversations should never feel like battles to win, but opportunities to connect, grow, and bridge gaps between people, no matter how far apart you seem. Though it's not always easy, by choosing patience, listening with an open heart, and adapting your approach without abandoning your authentic self, you can make a real difference. These small daily efforts to understand and be understood leave a lasting impact not just on relationships, but on how others view your willingness to grow and evolve alongside them. In the end, communication isn't just about words. It's about connection that transcends what's said and reaches into unspoken understanding born of love, patience, and meeting each other halfway. Bridging differences in values and core beliefs. As we age, our values and core beliefs gradually become an indelible part of our identity, solidified through countless experiences. These values, whether centered on work ethic, family vision, faith, or societal structures, are not merely abstract ideas, but reflections of who we've become, deeply intertwined with our sense of self and how we navigate the world. However, in today's rapidly shifting landscape, younger generations often hold vastly different views. These differences can be jarring, creating rifts that seem difficult to bridge and sometimes sowing seeds of tension or resentment. You might value the discipline and responsibility that come with structure, firmly believing that hard work and commitment are cornerstones of success. In contrast, younger people raised in an era celebrating flexibility, innovation, and individual expression may see these qualities as restrictive or outdated. The concept of work ethic itself can become contentious. To you, an unwavering commitment to necessary tasks. To them, possibly a rigid, limiting approach to life. Similarly, regarding personal subjects like marriage, parenting, or engaging with societal issues, the divide can feel even more pronounced. Values once seemingly universal now appear foreign or irrelevant to younger generations. You might believe in traditional family roles or certain customs, yet these very beliefs may be questioned or dismissed by those raised with different ideals. It's difficult not to feel misunderstood or judged in such a fast-moving world, where change is not just constant but often radical. Reconciling these differences without feeling like you're losing something essential about yourself can be challenging. You might wonder if your experiences and the lessons from your generation's struggles can ever truly resonate with those raised in such a different context. But what we must understand is this: our values aren't arbitrary or unyielding. They're born from lives we've lived, reflecting our stories, triumphs, and losses. Just as we view the world through our lens, younger generations have theirs, shaped by their own stories and journeys. This doesn't mean abandoning our beliefs or compromising what we hold dear. It requires looking beyond surface-level generational divides. Understanding their perspectives doesn't mean agreeing with them. It means opening ourselves to their experiences and trying to see the world through their eyes, fostering respect. In these conversations, Curiosity should replace judgment. Instead of engaging in battles of right and wrong, ask, why do they see things this way? You don't need to change your views, but expressing genuine interest creates room for dialogue rather than conflict. One powerful way to help others understand your perspective is sharing the stories that shaped your values. These narratives, laden with emotion, hardship, and hard-earned wisdom, carry a depth difficult to convey through mere words. When sharing personal experiences, you open doors to connection. They may not agree with everything, but they begin to understand the why behind your values. It becomes less about defending beliefs and more about connecting through shared human experiences. Not every difference needs resolution. Some beliefs are so deeply rooted they may never fully align, and that's okay. What matters is finding areas of connection, whether through mutual love for family, shared commitment to kindness, or collective desire to improve the world. These common threads can transcend even the widest divides. By embracing openness and mutual respect, we honor our values while allowing others to do the same. This approach creates space where differences aren't threats but opportunities for growth, building bridges, not walls. It's not about having the last word but fostering understanding, something far more valuable. The real gift we can offer one another, regardless of age, is a legacy of respect and empathy that transcends generations, enriching our lives and those who follow us. This is where true connection lies, in acknowledging both our shared humanity and our beautifully unique journeys. Dealing with gossip and rumors as we age, a subtle shift occurs within our social circles. Whether in neighborhoods, retirement communities, or extended families, gossip and rumors, those toxic whispers spreading like wildfire, become almost inevitable in our lives. It's heartbreaking when people we've trusted or shared precious moments with become the very ones perpetuating hurtful, often malicious stories. These rumors rarely contain the full truth. They're typically distorted half-truths or outright lies spun to create drama or importance. The real damage lies not just in what's said, but in how easily people who claim to know you best believe and pass on these falsehoods without questioning their authenticity. Mere repetition somehow transforms fiction into fact. Gossip often stems from others' insecurities or boredom. When people's lives feel stagnant or lacking, they grasp at anything to feel relevant, twisting stories and embellishing truth to create narratives that bring strange excitement to otherwise uneventful existence. Sadly, you sometimes become their target. In our later years, people may gossip about our past decisions, finances, health, or those we cherish most. These rumors, seemingly harmless on the surface, can deeply damage, eroding trust and sowing doubt, leaving you feeling misunderstood, alienated, and betrayed by those closest to you. It's painful when someone you once trusted distances themselves because of something they've heard, not from your words or actions, but from distorted narratives crafted by others. This impact can leave you questioning relationships you've spent years nurturing. People you once believed to be friends or family start treating you differently, though you've done nothing to deserve it. Their actions are influenced not by who they truly are, but by distorted versions painted by idle gossip. That's where the real emotional pain lies, not just in the rumors themselves, but in how others view you based on lies they've accepted as truth. Fighting back against gossip requires both inner strength and strategic approach. First, and most importantly, stay grounded in who you are. Hold on to your values, authenticity, and truth no matter how loud the rumors or how many people twist your story. Your integrity is your greatest defense. Over time, those who truly know you, who've seen your actions and felt your kindness, will see through the lies. They'll know who you are, and that's what matters. It's crucial not to get caught up in defensive reactions. Reacting with anger or bitterness only fuels the fire. When confronted with gossip, stay calm and address the situation with clear, composed responses, focusing not on engaging in word battles but on clarifying misunderstandings. A simple, measured response like, "I heard this is being said about me, but it's not true, and here's why," can go far in dispelling falsehoods without getting wrapped in drama. However, not every rumor deserves your time or energy. You don't have to fight every battle. Sometimes silence is your strongest weapon, Protecting your peace and investing energy in relationships that truly matter should always take precedence. Remember this: gossip speaks more about those spreading it than about you. Their focus on negativity and need to tear others down reflects their insecurities and pain, saying nothing about your worth. By maintaining integrity and staying centered, you send a powerful message that your character isn't shaped by false stories others tell. Your worth is built on something far stronger that cannot be tarnished by idle gossip. The more you remain true to yourself, the clearer it becomes to others that no whispered lies can shake the foundation of who you truly are. Understanding personal insecurities and projection. One of the more insidious yet profoundly impactful reasons people may resent you stems not from anything you've done, but from their insecurities. This subtle, almost invisible force shapes their feelings and actions, and when it manifests, it can be deeply hurtful. As we age, the stakes of these insecurities grow larger, often leading people to project their fears, doubts, and sense of inadequacy onto others. This projection occurs when people are confronted with qualities they wish they had, or struggles they've yet to overcome, reflected in someone else's life, someone like you. For example, if you've maintained your health while others battle physical limitations or chronic conditions, their discomfort can quickly turn to envy or frustration. They may lash out not because of any fault of yours, but because your vitality starkly contrasts with their vulnerabilities. Your health, energy, and presence become reminders of what they fear losing or feel they've already lost. It's difficult for them to watch you thrive while they're still fighting to hold on. Similarly, if you've built financial stability or nurtured strong, loving relationships, this can unknowingly highlight areas where others feel they've fallen short. They might wonder, why didn't I do the same? Or, how come I couldn't make those choices? Your achievements in health, wealth, or relationships act as mirrors showing them, most painfully, the gaps in their own lives, and that mirror can be hard to face. This discomfort often turns into resentment that has little to do with you, but everything to do with their internal struggles. What's more complicated is how this projection intertwines with the fears we all face about aging. As we grow older, we're constantly confronted with time, bodily fragility, and life's impermanence. If someone struggles with these truths, they may project their frustrations onto you. Perhaps they feel threatened by your graceful aging, while they feel trapped in fears about time slipping away. Their insecurities might manifest in seemingly harmless comments about your age or dismissals of your opinions as irrelevant, not because of anything you've done, but because your presence, wisdom, and calm in the face of time remind them of what they fear most. This kind of emotional projection can be incredibly painful, especially when it feels like people are criticizing you simply for existing as you are. But understanding this dynamic, that their resentment reflects their inner battles more than your actions, can provide a certain peace. When someone directs anger or coldness toward you, instead of taking it personally, try viewing it through the lens of their insecurity. Ask yourself, is this their fear talking? Their pain? Their struggles? This doesn't excuse their behavior, but helps you detach emotionally from the hurt they might inflict, creating space to respond with compassion rather than reacting from anger or frustration. However, compassion doesn't mean tolerating continuous negativity. There's a delicate balance between understanding someone's insecurities and protecting yourself from their toxic projections. If someone's constant insecurity is wearing you down, it's more than okay to set boundaries. You don't need to absorb their negativity just to be kind. Protecting your peace is essential for your well-being and a powerful act of self-care. Sometimes, distancing yourself from that energy is the best way to honor who you are and what you've worked hard to build. When these moments of projection occur, remind yourself deeply and without reservation that their feelings don't reflect on you. They reflect their struggles, emotional limitations, and unresolved fears. You've earned the right to be proud of who you've become, the wisdom, resilience, and strength you've cultivated over time. When you hold your ground, remember this isn't about being better or more successful than anyone else, but simply that you've learned to walk a path they're still grappling to find. Your journey is yours, and you can hold your head high despite their discomfort. In the end, it's not about what others think, but about the life you've built, the lessons you've learned, and the person you've become. By staying centered, protecting your peace, and navigating difficult interactions with compassion. You maintain emotional balance and move forward with grace. You deserve to live your truth, regardless of how others project their fears onto you. Your light is not their burden to bear. It's yours. Seeking empathy and understanding as we grow older, one of the most painful and unexpected challenges we face is the growing lack of empathy and understanding from those around us, particularly from younger people who may not take the time or effort to fully grasp the intricacies of our experiences. Aging is not just a physical process. It's emotional, mental, and deeply personal. Yet others often fail to see the invisible burdens we carry. They don't understand the weariness in our bones, the emotional weight of past losses, or the quiet fears that sometimes creep in with each new day. They don't see the small, yet significant, adjustments we make just to get through daily life, and this lack of understanding can be crushing. People, especially those younger than us, often view us through a narrow, superficial lens. They may mistake our slower pace for hesitation, indecision, or inefficiency, rather than acknowledging it as an adjustment to our changing bodies and minds. When we take longer to make decisions, it's not from confusion, but because we've learned the value of patience, reflection, and thoughtful consideration. Yet these actions are often met with impatience or condescension. Family members may dismiss our wisdom as outdated or irrelevant, failing to recognize that what they perceive as resistance to change is actually a deep well of experience informing our choices. This lack of empathy isn't necessarily rooted in malice or cruelty, but in ignorance, yet it still stings. It hurts because it feels dehumanizing, reducing us to stereotypes of people who are just slowing down or losing touch with reality. The most painful aspect is how it leaves us feeling invisible. Younger people, absorbed in their fast-paced lives, rarely consider how their words or actions might affect us. They forget that behind every wrinkle, gray hair, and slower step is a life that has been lived, filled with joys, sorrows, triumphs, and losses. When they minimize our physical and emotional challenges, they inadvertently deepen our isolation. Managing health, coping with loss, dealing with fading social connections, it all takes a toll. But in their hurry, they can't or won't see how these things shape our daily reality. They often don't understand the mental and emotional strength required to face another day, or how small things they breeze through can feel like insurmountable obstacles for us. When we try explaining these struggles, we often encounter indifference or impatience, making us feel even more disconnected and alienated. What's harder is the growing emotional distance. We're left trying to bridge an ever-widening gap fueled by lack of empathy, understanding, and connection. It's as though we're no longer fully human in others' eyes, just shadows of our former selves. And while we may cherish solitude and embrace quieter lives, we still crave meaningful connections. When those connections feel strained or superficial, when people stop truly seeing us, it becomes harder to navigate aging's emotional landscape. To close this gap and begin healing, open communication is essential, though not always easy. It requires courage to share vulnerabilities and explain gently what we need others to understand. Instead of defensive reactions to impatience, we might say, "I appreciate your help, but please understand this task takes me longer now." Or, "I know I'm moving at a different pace, but it's just how my body works now." These words might not always bring immediate understanding, but they open doors to empathy, inviting others to see the world from our perspective. While not everyone will take that step, we will have tried. Crucially, it's okay if not everyone responds with empathy. Not everyone will, but that doesn't mean we're alone. We have the right to set boundaries with those who continuously disregard our experiences, needs, and perspectives. Protecting our emotional well-being isn't just necessary, it's self-respect. Instead of pouring energy into draining relationships, we must seek those willing to listen, understand, and meet us with kindness and patience. Surrounding ourselves with people who value us for who we are, rather than what we can still do, is essential. Empathy is an exchange. It begins with us showing and modeling it. The more we approach others with patience and compassion, the more likely we foster understanding and genuine connection. Even amid misunderstandings, leading with empathy and honesty lays groundwork for richer, more meaningful relationships. Because ultimately, what we all long for, regardless of age, is to Be seen, heard, and truly understood. That is the most precious gift we can offer one another as we grow older. Navigating competitiveness and rivalry. As we age, the dynamic of competition or rivalry doesn't simply fade into the background. Instead, it often morphs into something more subtle yet just as potent. The competitive spirit doesn't vanish with passing years. It becomes more nuanced, woven into the fabric of our social circles, families, and even among closest longtime friends. The need to compare ourselves to others, whether in achievements, health, or relationships, often lingers in quieter, more insidious ways, but remains very much alive. This comparison isn't always spoken aloud, but feels like a quiet resentment, a weight on the heart that no one directly acknowledges, but everyone senses. Rivalry in older age can feel like a silent undercurrent running through otherwise peaceful interactions. You might find someone close, a sibling, a friend, beginning to pull away because they feel your life has turned out more successful or fulfilling than theirs. It's a quiet sting so deeply ingrained it becomes almost invisible, yet it tears at relationship foundations. Perhaps your sibling feels sharp jealousy seeing how often your children visit, or resents the financial security you've built over years. Security they struggle to attain. Maybe a friend facing health challenges can't help comparing their declining mobility with your active lifestyle, leading to bitterness and frustration. These feelings, unspoken, unacknowledged, linger like unhealed wounds, creating tension that's not immediately obvious, but deeply felt. At the core of this rivalry often lies insecurity. Many people, as they age, begin feeling they're falling behind. They see others like you seemingly thriving, healthier, wealthier, more active, and feelings of inadequacy fester. They measure themselves against you, seeing your success and feeling something they may not fully understand, a desire to compete, to prove they too have won in life. It's not conscious, but jealousy sneaks in, taking root in unexpected places. This is particularly true with long-standing family dynamics, like sibling rivalries stretching back decades. Those tensions, simmering under the surface throughout life, often resurface in later years, fueled by life's perceived scorecard. The very things making you proud, travels, hobbies, family bonds, can unintentionally trigger envy, even from those you care about most. Navigating these emotions as we age requires delicate, thoughtful approaches. On one hand, never feel the need to diminish yourself, to dim your happiness or success, fearing it might make others uncomfortable. You've earned your peace and contentment. Celebrate your achievements, joys, and growth without apology. You deserve to live authentically without constantly tiptoeing around others' insecurities. On the other hand, there's grace in acknowledging others' strengths amid your accomplishments, easing underlying tensions. Sometimes a simple, heartfelt compliment works wonders. Telling someone, "I admire how you've kept active despite your challenges," can diffuse rivalry and transform it into mutual respect. If rivalry continues, remember that someone else's need to compete speaks more to their internal struggles than your worth. You aren't obligated to play their game or prove anything. Your worth isn't tied to comparison, and your path is yours to define. Rather than engaging in competition cycles, focus on relationships based on support, encouragement, and shared joy. Offer kindness, and be the person who uplifts others instead of engaging in rivalry that serves no one. True fulfillment comes from connections grounded in genuine appreciation, not one-upmanship. By rising above rivalry's noise and staying grounded in your truth, you preserve your peace, dignity, and sense of self. Your success and contentment, however defined, aren't diminished by others' envy or feelings of inadequacy. They testify to the life you've built and the person you've become, independent of external judgment. Let your actions speak for themselves, without proving your worth in silent contests others create. True fulfillment isn't about winning or being better than someone else. It's about living authentically, embracing who you are, and finding peace in simply being. Breaking free from social expectations. As we age, society often places invisible chains around us, dictating how we should think, behave, and even feel. These expectations, rigid and unyielding, often tie to outdated notions about aging. We're supposed to slow down, become less adventurous, and shrink into smaller versions of ourselves. But what happens when we dare break free from these prescribed molds? When we choose to pursue new passions, voice bold opinions, or embrace choices society deems unconventional? It sends ripples of discomfort through those around us. When we begin living authentically, doing what ignites our hearts or simply following our instincts, it forces others to face their fears and insecurities about aging. Those who've settled into safe, predictable paths often feel threatened by our courage to step off well-worn roads. They may feel subtle, unspoken resentment because our choices highlight limitations they've accepted. By simply living our truth, we challenge the very foundation of their beliefs about aging and what's appropriate at this life stage. Consider starting a new hobby, building a new relationship, or embarking on an unexpected adventure. These choices, whether small or significant, can evoke criticism, judgment, or condescension. They might think, "What is he, she, doing at this age?" Yet it's precisely because our choices speak to deep yearnings for freedom and fulfillment that they stir discomfort. Pursuing what we love boldly declares that life needn't shrink as years advance. But here lies the tension. When we reject the idea that age should limit us, we force others to confront their fears of stepping beyond comfort zones or facing regrets. Here's the heart of it. Society's heavy-handed expectations aren't your burden. You've earned every right to live authentically, to pursue what brings joy and meaning. This isn't indulgence, it's necessity. Living without embracing your desires robs you of fulfillment that life can offer in later years. You've walked a long road, and now it's time to carve your path, one aligned with your true self, not roles others have scripted. Facing judgment, it's tempting to become defensive or withdrawn, to apologize for living life on your terms. But there's another, more powerful response: grace. When others express discomfort, instead of retreating or defending yourself, offer glimpses into your world. Calmly explain how these choices bring light into your life and make you feel more alive and connected. Make it clear you're not rebelling, but simply embracing life fully with the wisdom of your years. Let them see this isn't about defying convention, but honoring your existence and finding joy in each new chapter. In the end, this matters most: living authentically without fear of judgment or criticism. Our worth isn't measured by society's approval, but by how fully we live aligned with our values. As we grow older, the most powerful choice is selecting our path unapologetically. We owe it to ourselves and those who may need courage to follow their hearts to show that aging isn't a time to shrink, but to bloom. Addressing the lack of recognition. The lack of recognition can be one of the most heart-wrenching experiences, especially as you grow older. It's not just about being overlooked in the moment, but about the deep, silent resentment building when you feel invisible. When your contributions to family, community, or society are taken for granted, as if they no longer hold significance. As time passes, it can feel like sacrifices you've made, wisdom you've gained, and hard work you've invested in others' lives have somehow faded into the background, no longer worthy of acknowledgement. This lack of recognition is most deeply felt in family settings. You've dedicated years, perhaps decades, to raising children, nurturing relationships, and maintaining your home and family. You've been the steady hand, caring, sacrificing, putting others' needs above your own. Yet as years pass, these efforts seem forgotten. Adult children, caught in their busy lives, may no longer express gratitude. They're so absorbed in their world that they forget to pause and truly listen when you speak. Even grandchildren, who once looked up to you with admiration, may now see you as a distant figure, someone they visit out of duty rather than someone they turn to for family stories, wisdom, and history. It's easy to think your experiences' value has been overlooked, that your worth has somehow diminished because you're no longer the center of attention. If you once found purpose and validation in your professional career or community contributions, you might now feel quietly sidelined, wondering if those achievements are now regarded as insignificant, merely past history. The world outside may have moved on, leaving you feeling unseen, uncelebrated, and irrelevant. But here's the painful truth. While recognition from others can soothe the soul, it should never be the sole measure of your worth. It's natural to want appreciation and long for acknowledgement, especially from those you love most. Yet the most important recognition is what you give yourself. You are the keeper of your value. No one can diminish the profound impact you've had in family lives, community service, or quiet, unnoticed ways you've touched others. Their failure to acknowledge you doesn't diminish your worth, and your legacy isn't erased by their forgetfulness. That said, it's also okay to express your feelings. Communication is key. If you feel your contributions are ignored, share that. Expressing how you feel can open doors to deeper connections. Imagine saying to your family, "I'd love to share stories about my life, what I've learned and lessons I've carried." Often, people aren't intentionally dismissive, but simply caught in their own lives. A gentle reminder might rekindle bonds, inviting them to see the value in your experiences and appreciate the knowledge you've gained over a lifetime. Ultimately, the most powerful act of self-love is recognizing your own worth, honoring your journey, and celebrating lessons learned along the way. Yes, being overlooked hurts. It's painful to feel invisible, especially after giving so much, but your worth isn't tied to whether others see it. Celebrate yourself. Be proud of the life you've lived, love you've given, and wisdom you've accumulated. Surround yourself with those who do recognize and appreciate the richness you bring to their lives. Most importantly, live knowing you are enough, whether anyone else ever says it. By embracing your value and finding joy in your contributions, you rise above the pain of being unnoticed and continue creating a legacy uniquely yours, one no one can take away. Part 2. Stop pleasing. Everyone, embrace your true self as we journey. Through life, we easily fall into the trap of constantly trying to please others. From youth, we're conditioned to seek approval, measuring our worth by how well we meet others' expectations. We learn to be agreeable, accommodate others, and mold ourselves into versions others want us to be. Over time, this people-pleasing pattern becomes ingrained, following us into adulthood and later years. Though it might feel like a reflex initially, it eventually becomes a heavy burden, one difficult to carry, especially as we age. This need to make everyone happy is no longer virtuous, but an exhausting, self-sacrificing habit that leaves us drained and disconnected from our desires. As we grow older, the need for external validation loses its hold. Fulfilling everyone's expectations becomes irrelevant and often frustrating rather than fulfilling. We realize we've spent too many years bending backward for others, neglecting our desires and needs. Eventually, we can't ignore the truth. The only person we need to please is ourselves. This realization isn't just liberating. It's essential for happiness in our later years. For many, this mindset shift brings mixed relief and guilt. We've prioritized others so long that prioritizing ourselves feels foreign and uncomfortable. But deep down, we know it's the only path to authentic living. To understand our need to please others, we must acknowledge the deep-seated fears driving this behavior. Often fears of rejection, hunger for acceptance, and longing to be valued, that push us to seek constant approval. We fear judgment, ignorance, or despite if we don't meet others' expectations. These fears may have served us in youth, helping build friendships, navigate social dynamics, and succeed in careers, but they become less relevant as we age. By our senior years, those who truly matter have chosen to stay. Not because we've bent over backward to meet expectations, but because they love us for who we truly are. This realization is beautiful and powerful, a reminder that people worth our time, energy, and love accept us fully without conditions, valuing our genuine selves, not carefully curated versions created to please others. Stepping away from people-pleasing isn't without challenges. It's difficult to shake lifelong habits formed to earn love and acceptance. Trying to meet everyone's expectations is exhausting, draining mental and emotional reserves. Constant efforts to be agreeable and put others first can leave us feeling resentful and unfulfilled. This takes a heavy toll on our health, especially as we grow older and our energy becomes more precious. Our energy isn't as boundless as it once was, and we deserve to use it in ways that honor our true selves, rather than worrying about others' judgment. Why not reflect on what truly brings you joy? It's not about becoming selfish or insensitive to others' needs, but striking a balance between your happiness and the needs of those you care about. At this life stage, we have the opportunity to embrace deeper self-care, not just pampering ourselves, but claiming our time, energy, and lives from the world's exhausting demands. It's about making space to nurture our needs, dreams, and desires without guilt. When we finally focus on what matters to us, we begin living aligned with our values, not someone else's. The beauty of releasing people-pleasing is the profound freedom it brings. No longer weighed down by others' opinions and expectations, we find courage to explore passions, try new things, and dream new dreams. Whether pursuing long-neglected hobbies, learning something new, or simply allowing ourselves freedom to be, the possibilities are endless. The beauty of this life stage is having time and space to embrace what we love without fear of judgment. Perhaps you've always wanted to learn painting, write that novel you've dreamed of, or finally travel to that destination calling your name for years. Why wait any longer? Your time is precious. There's no better moment than now to start living it for yourself. Moreover, when we stop trying to please everyone, something wonderful happens. We attract the right people into our lives. We form deeper, more meaningful, more authentic relationships, rather than surrounding ourselves with people who value us only for what we do for them. We open ourselves to connections with those who love us simply for who we are. These are people who stand by us, share our joys and sorrows, and enrich our lives far more than shallow, transactional relationships we once maintained. As we enter our later years, we realize having a small circle of true friends and loved ones, people who see and love us unconditionally, is far more rewarding than maintaining large networks of acquaintances who value us only when we meet their needs. This mindset shift can be challenging. There will always be people who try to make us feel guilty or pressure us to return to old people-pleasing patterns. They may be uncomfortable with our newfound independence and self-respect, but their discomfort isn't our responsibility. It reflects their struggles, not our worth. Setting boundaries, learning to say no when necessary, and prioritizing our well-being aren't selfish. They're acts of self-love and self-respect. Setting boundaries is one of the most loving things we can do for ourselves in later years. Boundaries protect our time, energy, and mental health. When we set them, we send powerful messages to ourselves and others that our needs matter too. Ultimately, when we stop living to please others, we live more intentionally. We become more present and attuned to the moment's beauty, whether spending time with loved ones, enjoying quiet reflection, or savoring simple pleasures like favorite meals. We stop worrying about the past, stop stressing about the future, and embrace the present. We release the weight of others' expectations and truly enjoy life for what it is, finding joy in small things and living with intention and authenticity. That, my friend, is the truest form of freedom. As we conclude, I want to leave you with a powerful question. What have you learned from this journey toward embracing your true self and letting go of the need to please everyone? It's not easy, but it's worth it. Think about one discovery from today that you can bring into your own life, whether setting boundaries, pursuing a long-lost passion, or simply prioritizing your happiness. Remember that embracing your authentic self in your later years isn't selfish, it's essential. You've earned the right to live according to your own values and desires after decades of caring for others. The freedom that comes from releasing others' expectations allows you to experience life more fully, with greater joy and deeper connections to those who truly matter. Your later years can be some of your most fulfilling when you stop bending to please everyone and start honoring your true self. This is your time to shine, to explore, and to live with the wisdom and authenticity that only comes from a life fully embraced.